Buteyko, however you pronounce it, is fine by me. Okay, because I still don't pronounce this correctly, and it's been a decade since I've been using this as a big principle of how we help people. Okay, now it's just one part, and I think it's really important because um, I think some people may know about this, not everyone does, but it's a really critical piece of the sleep apnea picture, especially obstructive sleep apnea. So I'm going to walk you through what this is. This will be the highlight, okay? Um, I don't have cool images of like Russian doctors and clinics, sorry. But this is going to be like the baseline. It will describe what the exercises look like, how they progress, and how it's related to so many different things here. So first things first, your first time here, maybe it's not, I have no idea, but nonetheless, we got to talk about what causes sleep apnea in the first place. It is really super simple. It's like breathing through a straw, okay? Because you have your airway here, there's some narrowing, could be your tongue, I don't know, whatever it is, it's like breathing through a straw. You have to breathe faster to get the same amount of air. As simple as that. Now, that's the problem. The solution is getting yourself to breathe slower. However, there's some issues to this because as you start to breathe faster, okay, we'll say faster breathing, okay, we can say faster, irregular, more forceful, all different words to describe the same thing. There's going to be two main components that come out of this, okay? There's going to be muscle memory, if you will. Okay, this is the concept that whatever you do that requires your muscles and your brain to talk, eventually there will be a very efficient pathway that's formed. Same thing with your breathing. That's why if you find yourself you do a slow breathing exercise, you will then find that you breathe slowly afterwards because you've reset this muscle memory. Okay, just like how the muscle memory of my handwriting forever dooms me and you by association to reading this awful handwriting. Now, for the other component is also biochemical. And this is a bigger focus of the Buteyko breathing method, and specifically CO2 tolerance. Okay, now this is not a concept exclusive to Buteyko. I'm just joking around because I can't pronounce anything. So what I was saying is that CO2 tolerance is not exclusive. It's like deep sea diving, other sorts of schools of breath work. It's a common concept. Now, where I break off from Buteyko is their idea is that you fix this breathing issue, okay, because everyone has these breathing issues and da da da, and you fix this and everything's magically better. I don't agree with that. I will say that it is really important when the pathophysiology is the case, like it is for obstructive sleep apnea. And also, what's really cool, it helps with obstructive sleep apnea. It also helps with higher level athletics, if you will, just because you're optimizing breathing. Okay, is it gonna get rid of IBS or hormonal issues or what's some other things, even cancer? Directly, probably not. But if obstructive sleep apnea is what has caused your body to break down and lead to those things, then maybe. Okay? That's my definitive statement. A very strong maybe. Now, back to this CO2 tolerance. So, when you're breathing too fast, CO2 goes down. Okay? This is why if you breathe in and out really fast and hold your breath, you can hold your breath longer. Okay? Because CO2 is what tells your body to breathe. Okay, that's really important. CO2 is what tells your body to breathe. All right. When you're over breathing all the time, you don't have a very strong signal from your biochemistry to your brain to your diaphragm. Okay, so as a result, you have a bad breathing signal. So you're not going to breathe properly. Okay. Buteyko breathing, which again, probably mispronouncing. I almost looked up the pronunciation, but I wanted to just really come in here strong and wrong, if so be. The idea with this is that you breathe in a way, like you inhale, you exhale, then you pause for a longer time, you inhale, then you exhale. This will drive up CO2 levels. And it doesn't really drive it to super high, it's more like a normal range. And then this will rewire, if you will. It'll rewire the CO2 brain, really the brain stem connection that tells you when to breathe. And then as a result, this will make the muscle memory better too. Okay? Because muscle memory indirectly comes from the brain signal, but also you can create and control your own muscle memory. All right? So you do these breathing exercises, increases CO2 tolerance, then you breathe slower, okay? And that comes back up to where we were, of where when you're breathing faster, it causes airway collapse, okay? Faster breathing with susceptibility, of course. You have some anatomy, weak muscles, whatever it is, or you're overweight, whatever it is. It's just where you are right now, okay? Nothing wrong with being overweight. You know, more so something wrong with having a problem, not doing something about it, okay? So absolutely fine if that's where you're at. So faster breathing will cause these airways to collapse. So if we slow it down, you can still have the same airways. You can still have the same weight. You won't have this collapse happening. Okay? Now, that's what it is. And we'll get into some of the exercises around this. Actually, let's just do that right now. Okay? So, and this is something where, like, as a baseline, there's all sorts of different variations. So because, again, this is just have a longer pause. Just more pauses, okay? And there's a lot to this. So, when did I do the courses? But they have like courses and all this stuff that's just as in-depth as you could ever go on breathing. I don't think, I don't want to, don't want to sound really professional when I say this. I think there's an 80-20. There's an 80-20. So 20% of those exercises can get you 80% of the results, okay? That's what I would like to say. Okay, still very helpful and useful, and especially if you want to explore it as a performance aspect. But nonetheless, there's easier ways. So you could do box breathing: 5 in, 5 pause, 5 pause, so 5 out, 5 pause. You can extend that out with a rectangle breathing, just a pause of 10. Okay, then from here, it can really deviate because once you get to a certain level of like how easy or hard this is, well, obviously easy because you want to progress. Then like the next level, I call it the triangles. Okay, this is typically what I'm picking out and selecting with our clients. So it could be a regular old triangle where it's inhale, exhale, pause. All right, let's say you inhale for 5, exhale for 5, pause for 15 as an example. Okay. Now, for someone who may be adding up all these pauses, you will find that just because this is technically a total pause time of 20, and this is a total pause time of 15, this triangle breathing actually may be harder. Okay, because again, there's a lot of different dynamics of breathing. So you have regular old triangle breathing. You could have, I call this inverted triangle breathing. So just the same sort of thing, except, well, let me kind of draw that, I guess, more correctly. It'd be inhale, pause, exhale. So I guess it's more of a rhomboid, but you can see how it is having a pause between the inhale and the exhale. Okay, and this is actually easier. So like inverted triangle is easier than just a regular triangle. And a lot of time, I mean, again, it depends. Maybe someone has more reactive airway, asthma, etc. All these different factors. And then, of course, from there, there may be times you get stuck in progressing, and that may cause you to do some unique triangles, is what I'll call them. Okay, and this is when you start to break some symmetry, especially around the inhale and the exhale. So it may be so let's say it's getting more challenging. Let's say we go for an inhale of 7, and then an exhale of 5, and then a pause of 15. Could be as simple as that. Okay, and just adjusting. This is a lot. I mean, I know this is a lot baseline, but just to give you an idea of how I advance this process. Because what we're teaching clients, is it Buteyko? Not really. There's a lot more that they'll get into that I don't think is 100% necessary. We're always trying to figure out like, okay, what's like the most important thing? Because we don't want people just doing nonstop breathing exercises or doing things that necessarily won't move the needle as much. And also, there's a lot more to the breathing story than just breathing, as luck would have it. Okay, but again, the main point I want to paint here is that all of these are just ways to increase CO2 tolerance. And how you increase that will depend on where you're at, how you're responding. Because beyond the triangles, there's another level. This is more, so triangle, you can see it's very just like jagged, right? So we'll call them the waves. Okay, and this can be you're breathing in a more shallow pattern like this, like a shallow inhale, shallow exhale. You're never having a pause, but just from this being so shallow, this will increase CO2 exposure and CO2 tolerance. Okay, so this is typically what we're progressing people through. And then just give you the whole picture again, because like I said, I'm going to give you the highest level that I can. There's going to be modifying factors. Okay, there's going to be modifiers here. Okay, so you could be seated, you could be walking, you could be talking as well. But I only talk to this camera. I really try to avoid talking to people nowadays. You could be running. Okay, this could be a resistance workout, whatever it is. All right, you're going to have modifiers. So again, what this could look like is, let's say, box breathing while seated, rectangle breathing while walking. Okay, so there's a lot to it. It is what I'm saying. Now there's even more to it, because as simple as it is, there's always going to be complexities, right? There just always is, because I would say, like, doing these breathing routines and exercises, yes, it's going to be great for muscle memory and feed into the biochemical aspect as well. Now, here's where things start to, well, let me say it like this. This is why only doing breathing exercises very likely will not get you completely free of obstructive sleep apnea. It might. I don't know. I don't know you. I say that in a nice way. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of different things that feed into CO2 tolerance, right? Let's say you have metabolic inflexibility, and flexity. Inflexity. Wow, that's a new word. I'm excited to try to see what that looks like on a transcript. But again, metabolic inflexibility. And let's say you rely on a lot of carbs. Okay, well, guess what? That is going to directly impact your CO2 tolerance, because CO2 is a byproduct of metabolism. So the other way to think about this is everything that affects your metabolism affects CO2 tolerance and affects your breathing. Okay, I'll say that again. Everything that affects you metabolically affects your CO2 levels, and that affects your breathing and how fast and how often you collapse your airways, or how slow, natural, and steady you keep your airways open at night. Okay, so maybe it's carbs, maybe there's toxins in your environment, maybe you're stressed out all the time, maybe you have a bad sleep schedule and your circadian rhythm is off. Okay, so it's tough at times, because it is very attractive just to think it's just my breathing, just need to fix my breathing, which is very true. But you can fix your breathing with breathing exercises, but you can also do it with other things. That's what gets tricky with us humans. The moment there's not a direct one-to-one correlation, okay, we kind of start to freak out and question, is what we're doing even valuable? All right. And this happens even with our clients when they're starting out. They're like, I don't see how eating will be something. I don't see how, having olive oil here, why is that going to help me breathe at night? And it's a good question, because we're not putting olive oil like on their mouth guard, they're not drinking it right before bed. But the thing is, there's these very powerful indirect things that will take time. Because breathing exercises, people, I mean, I think people love them. That's what I like to think. Because you can actually feel the difference almost immediately. You can measure the difference as well. Okay, whether it's how long you can hold this pause, what your O2 saturation looks like at night, what pressure on your CPAP you need to have, it will affect that for sure. But the other thing is like you have all these things that may not be obvious. Okay, could be as simple as just opening a window at night for air quality. Okay, that will greatly affect your CO2 tolerance. And this is what we're doing all the time for our clients, being able to figure out, okay, what are those things for them? Okay. And the more you're able to do that, it really opens everything up. Because just with the breathing, I would say breathing exercise and all of that, it'll drive maybe 30% of the results for someone. 30 to 40%. Okay. And there may be other things like other airway or tongue exercises, of course, add on another 10, 20%. But there is a lot of meat on the bone over here. Okay. So your big decision here today, okay, not even to do breathing exercises, okay? It's being able to really look at your health more holistically. Because the more you do that, it opens up so much and puts so much in your hands. You have more power and you have more in this fight against sleep apnea. Because what's the most disempowering thing that we get told? Oh, you're going to be like this forever. You just need a CPAP. You need this mouth guard. You need blah, 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 blah. Okay? No, there's so many ways for you to win against this and be in a place where you're breathing more easily, you're sleeping more easily, and you're back to living fully. So that's your big decision, not just to look at this as an isolated breathing problem. Okay? You want to be able to look at it as a whole body metabolic problem. And that's when you'll start to make even bigger strides. So there's your moral of the story. I hope you learned something today. Sorry I didn't get more into Russian history and to make you sound really cool, but that's just the luck of the draw. Now, for those of you still with me, if you want to have a more fundamental way, because yes, you can watch videos and listen and all that, but some people just want a nice, concise guide. That's what we have. So we have our book in the description. Wow, description. Here, I'll make that bigger. That's just available for you to go ahead and get and read. Really short, really to the point, and really super easy there. Now, the other thing, let's say you've gotten the book, you've been doing things, you've had some progress, and now you're like hitting this wall again where you had some hope, and you're like, oh, why am I not getting there? Then what's available for you is we have our free evaluation session. Now, even though I said the word free, there's still a cost. It's 45 minutes of your time. All right. And honestly, I don't even like getting on the phone with people. But nonetheless, the reason this is important, because if you're someone who like you feel like you're going at this. This is not like you're just not like, oh, I haven't really done anything for my health. Like, no, you've been trying and you feel like you're banging your head against the wall and like enough is enough of the poor quality of sleep and the reduced quality of your life, where whether it's at work, at home, you're meant for more. You also deserve to have that. That's who you are. Then I want you to invest your time wisely and go to ochnow.com/talk. All right. And once you're there, all you do is fill out a form and then you'll book a day and time. And then you're off to the races. Then I will give you a call and then, well, it's me. Maybe in the future, if someone watching this 3 years from now, maybe someone different, but it's definitely going to be me for the time being. Is that, well, gotta get the job done right, okay? Because there's very specific things we need to look at, is what I'm saying. We're going to be looking at really your function throughout the day, a little bit of your history, how that fits into now, what you're doing, so I can really synthesize and be able to understand, like, okay, what's going on here for you? What's holding you back, right? And then we want to talk about your goals, how to get there. And then if you want our help in making that happen, we can walk through what it looks like to work with us. But if not, we can just steer you to whoever else is going to really serve your needs the best. So that's available for you, ochnow.com/talk. So thank you so much for watching and have a good one.